Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be. I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy, coming to you with another episode of that VidBlaster guy here on Wednesday, July 10th, 2013. At least for those of you that are in my neck of the woods, it's Wednesday. For some of you, it's already Thursday. Hat tip to Andrew, my friend down in Melbourne. And I want to welcome all the folks that are watching us live and participating in the chat today. That's always a lot of fun. Chat room's filling up, so it's great. We've got folks from literally all over the world joining us today, so that's always a lot of fun. As you may recall, if you watched the show before, the premise of this show is that one guy with one PC can do one awesome broadcast. And we've been going at this, that VidBlaster guy thing, almost a full year. We haven't streamed every week, but we've got probably, 45 shows in the can, plus a bunch of tutorials and demos. And with that, we are beginning to approach the awesome broadcast part. It takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of work, and it takes the right software. And I think VidBlaster is the right software. Now, full disclosure, I am an authorized VidBlaster reseller, and this is a 1-hour infomercial for VidBlaster. Not really, but in some ways it is. But we talk about other things too. And we've got some a news segment coming up here in just a minute. I want to demo a few of the new features in VidBlaster, tell you about a sale that we've got coming up, and we're going to close with a troubleshooting session. I've got an interesting problem that popped up, and I want to talk with you about that. Plus, I hope the folks from the chat room will chime in with questions during the course of the show. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, or even if you're watching live, and you have a question about VidBlaster, shoot it to me. Because, number one, I love questions. I love sitting on the phone and helping folks work out what they want to do, how they want to do it. Was talking with a church this morning in the Midwest that was having a little bit of an audio delay or a video delay issue that had just suddenly cropped up. Something had changed. They didn't know what it was. So, we're going to talk more about that. They needed to get some more information together as to what kind of equipment they were using and whether they changed anything and nail down what that problem was. But if you've got a question that you would like to send to me, let me get my email address here up on the screen. Where did I put that thing? Nope, I guess it's not working. It's tom@thatvidblasterguy.com is the email address. And if you'll send your questions to me, and if I use them on the show, I will send you a coupon good for $10 off a future purchase of VidBlaster. That's US dollars now, not English pounds. So that's the deal about questions. Now, in the news segment, whoops, where am I? I disappeared. I clicked on the wrong button. There we go. In the news segment today, got a couple of pieces of news. One is old news. Tuesday of last week, so over a week ago, Stephen Haywood invited me to be on his show on the Tech Buzz network called Broadcast Now. And I was delighted to be on there and to talk with he and Richard Cleveland about what was going on in broadcasting and share some war stories. And I really appreciate Stephen extending the hand to me to invite me on the show. That was a lot of fun. We also extended to anyone watching then, and I'm going to extend to you now, for the next week, if you are interested in making a purchase of VidBlaster, a license, or upgrading your license, or upgrading your version, if you will shoot me an email, tom@thatvidblasterguy.com, and mention the code VBGUY, VBGUY, and that you want a 10% discount, I will send you the paperwork for that. And it's not paperwork, basically. It's just an email saying you're getting the discount. And you can use it this week, or you can hold it and wait and use it at some point in the future. But keep that email from me. That's the ticket that gets you the 10%. So if you think you'd like to buy VidBlaster in the future, send me an email to tom@thatvidblasterguy.com. I figured since I was on the Tech Buzz talking with folks that were not necessarily VidBlaster users, but it's a show called Broadcast Now, so everybody was already broadcasting with something. Since I was going to extend it outside the VidBlaster family, I figured I better extend it within the VidBlaster family also. And we are a family show. Yeah, we are a family show. But the biggest news probably is that VidBlaster version 3.12 was released this past Friday. Now, I greeted that news. You would think that I would be really excited that VidBlaster had introduced a new beta version and it had all sorts of goodies in it. We'll talk about those in just a second. But actually, I was kind of crushed because it's not every day that when a developer of a piece of software releases it with your name on it. And version 3.11 was supposed to be the Tom version. And now that 3.12 has come out, the Tom version is just last week's news. So I'm depressed. But I'll get over it because 3.12 has got some awesome goodies in it. And here's the headliner more than anything else is that VidBlaster 3.12 is the first VidBlaster version that is fully Windows 8 compatible. How about that? So, and let's talk a little bit about the whole nature of VidBlaster and its release of different versions. Version 3.12 is a beta version. It is not a release version. That is, if you went to buy VidBlaster from VidBlaster, you couldn't buy 3.12. You can download it and use it, but you wouldn't be buying version 3 because version 3 doesn't have an official release yet. These are beta versions. A beta means it's not done yet. It's still, we've pulled it out of the oven and we're looking at it to see, is it done yet? No, it's not done yet. Put it back in the oven. We're getting closer to a cooked goose, as it were, but it's not done yet. So if you're using VidBlaster and you're thinking about moving up to version 3.12, remember it's not done yet. It was just released Friday. There could have been new bugs in it. You can check the VidBlaster forum, which is forum.vidblaster.com, and read up on anybody's experience with 3.12 since last Friday. There have been some notes in the forum about that. And if you use VidBlaster for your everyday business or your once-a-week business or whatever it is, I mean, if you use it in an important fashion, you want to go ahead and test a new beta version the way you would normally use it before you use it the way you would normally use it. That way you don't have any surprises, like all of a sudden something doesn't work the way it used to work, or something new doesn't work the way you expected it to work. Sometimes that's the case. So that's just my little caution about betas. But thank goodness, I'm in love with VidBlaster. One of the things is that whenever a new beta comes out, it's released to everybody. Folks that are currently using VidBlaster, people that are thinking about using it, people that are using a competitive product, anybody can download and install a copy of VidBlaster, the trial edition, on their hard drive and use it for free, forever. That's pretty cool. But Windows 8, the biggest change for VidBlaster, and really the problem that kept VidBlaster from being Windows 8 compatible prior to that, I think virtually 95% of VidBlaster was Windows 8 compatible. The problem was that the audio module, for some reason, didn't recognize all of the sound devices, all of the audio devices in your PC in Windows 8. For whatever reason, it was like they didn't exist. You could go to the control panel and go to Device Manager, and they would still be present there. But for some reason, VidBlaster didn't see them. Other parts of VidBlaster would see them. The recorder, where you select the audio device, saw them. The player. I was going to say playlist, but that's not right. The player, where you select an audio device, would see it. but for some reason the audio module didn't. And the way they fixed that was they just eliminated the audio module. So there's no more audio module. And you say, well, hold on a second, Tom. If I'm streaming to Bamboozer or Ustream or Livestream or something like that using the streamer in VidBlaster, that assumes that the audio module is there to provide the audio. Well, you're right. And so there's been a change in the streamer to now the streamer has the ability to select your audio source. Now, if you're like me, here on my PC, I've got a ton of audio sources because I've got all sorts of cards that have audio devices in them. But I've got 3 active audio sources right now. One is my good old Behringer mixer, my X1204 USB, and that appears as a sound device. I've got a Behringer UCA 202 sound card so that I can do a mix minus with my Skype guests and my cell phone guests. And that appears as a Behringer USB audio device. And then I've got the speakers, and so I'm actually taking an audio out of the back of my PC, bringing it into my mixer, and using that as return audio for Skype. And that comes into my mixer and is recognized in VidBlaster as a speaker. So when I'm looking at the audio sources in my PC, that is, speakers where I would pick up audio, I've got 3 choices to make. And now in the streamer, as well as the player and the recorder, in the streamer, I can select an audio device if I'm streaming to one of those aforementioned CDNs. That was a little cumbersome, but I hope you got what I was trying to say there. And that was really what was keeping VidBlaster from being Windows 8 compatible. So far as I know now, everything works. Everything works the way it used to work. And in fact, I think VidBlaster has been improved by getting rid of that clunky audio module that, the volume meter really didn't conform to any standards. It was a little tricky to use. It wasn't intuitive as the rest of VidBlaster is intuitive. So now the streamer module actually has a volume meter built into it now. And when you stream to one of the CDNs on the list, that volume meter shows you the volume that you're sending out, just like I'm looking at my recorder module right now, shows me the volume that that my audio is producing and sending out to you right now. So let's see what else. There's a module that showed up in VidBlaster about a year or so ago called the Still Store module. And Joe DeMax was telling me earlier in pre-show that this really was sort of a version of something called Frame Store. And Frame Store, Still Store, basically it's kind of a double function module. And the Still Store module, the way it used to be, it would allow you to basically take a screen capture, a screenshot of whatever was in the program window, and capture that as a still. Now that still can be saved not only as a JPEG, but also as a PNG file. I use it, and I'll show you what I'm using it for right here. I'll use it to just display a graphic. So I can pop that graphic up on the screen out of the Still Store module. And it uses hardly any resources, so that's really, really good. Let's see what else has changed here. VidBlaster, and you would have thought that this would have been added eons ago, but for some reason it just didn't pop in. But VidBlaster's, when you exit VidBlaster, it now checks to make sure, or it checks to see, that's a better way to put it, it checks to see if you're streaming or if you're recording. And if you're streaming or recording, then it won't close VidBlaster. Well, that kind of sounds like a duh, that's the way it should operate. Now, I think the streamer used to be like that, and if you were still streaming, it wouldn't close VidBlaster. But and perhaps the recorder was the same way. I don't recall, but now for sure, the streamer and the recorder, if those are still streaming, you won't be able to close VidBlaster until you stop and save and properly exit those kinds of things. The streamer used to have the option to output to Windows media encoder, and that's been dropped. If you use that, then just don't upgrade because it won't be there as of version 3.12. I think they did kind of a poll on the forum to see who would miss it, and hardly anybody came up and said they'd missed it, so out it went. Let's see what else has been changed. Oh yeah, the player. The player is under some neat revision, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun when they get it done. It's completely rewritten from the ground up, and so it's still the player, but it really is a different creature underneath the skin, and so it now has the ability. Well, it did before. I'm stumbling around on this because I'm trying to figure out how to differentiate it. When the player was rewritten, some of the features weren't put back in yet. Let me put it that way, and those have been added back. The ability to see the elapsed time in a video. So if you've got a 5-minute video, the little counter comes up and ticks through and tells you how much time has elapsed. Something that I really like, and I'm looking at it here on my screen, is the ability to see the file name of the video that I'm playing. So if I've got a video queued up and the first frame just happens to be black and I'm not sure what it is, I've got that file name there to refer to, and that's pretty nice. I also have the ability to seek a little bit better by grabbing that little bar and pulling it across on the bottom of the player to sort of seek for the frame that I want to start or stop at. And it actually has now new in it a pause button. So when you press play, you have two options. You can either stop and it'll automatically rewind, or you can pause it right where it is and then click pause again, and it will, or click play again, and it'll pick right up where it left off when you paused it. So that's a neat feature. Part of the player that has not yet shown up yet, and this is going to be interesting, and I think there's still a little bit of discussion about this, but I think for the most part it's already been settled. There was a companion module to the player called the playlist, and the playlist could be a file folder, or it could be a collection of files that you had put into the playlist, either video files or audio files. And then you could tell the player to play the playlist, and it would play in sequence the files that you had put in the playlist, or the folder that you had put in the playlist. And with a new player, the playlist feature had not yet been added back, and in fact there's been a lot of input on that, not just recently but over the last couple of years, and a lot of folks wanted to have the ability to actually have things that would happen at certain times. So you could say, at 12:30 I want this video to play, at 12:35 I want this ad to play, and pretty well program things to happen at certain times of day or night. And that's going to be the new companion feature, I think, to the player. It hasn't been released yet, but there's been a lot of chatter about it. And you can always tell when a new feature is coming down the pike, because there'll be some chatter about it and a lot of questions back and forth about how should this work and how should it look like. And people who have a vested interest in that area can generally chime in and get some input into what it's going to look like and how it's going to function. But this new module, I think, will be called the Playout module. And it will either function on its own or function in conjunction with the player module and allow you the ability to sort of schedule things to happen at certain times. And I think that has a lot of possibilities. Will obviously give you a lot more flexibility than something that just basically played things in sequence one after another, sort of a dumb player. In this case, it's going to have a little bit more intelligence to it. And my guess is, after it's been around for a while, people will think of ways that they'd like to improve it too, with maybe some if-then statements. That is, if you've got dead air until the next thing happens, do this instead. So we'll see how that works. let's see, what else have we got in our new version 3.12? I'm looking at the forum. You can go to forum.vidblaster.com and go to the download section and read all about it. And I'm not going to read through everything in there, but there are some other things that are significant. The recorder has efficiency, or improved efficiency of peak meter drawing. The switcher has added preview and program text pins. In fact, a lot of pins have been added to a lot of the modules, and that has to do with the API. Player added pop-up menus that show the file name and the time. Yep, and then, I think there's a new trial logo. I can't get the new trial logo to appear because I got a registered version. So if you know what it looks like, shoot me a screen cap of what it looks like on your system. I'd like to see how the new logo looks. That's about it. Again, remember it's a beta. If you're going to use it, keep in mind that it's a beta. It's not completely ready for prime time, but it's been released into the wild, and we'll see how it works. I'm actually using 3.12 right now, and everything seems to be working really well. I'm streaming 864 by 480, 30 frames a second, 1200 kbps in Flash Media Live encoder with 128K audio bit rate, and my CPU usage is bouncing around a little bit between 55, 57, 62%. I've got a profile that uses, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19, 23, 27 modules, including 4 effects modules, and the effects modules are particularly taxing on the CPU. So that's pretty good. That leaves me a lot of overhead when I want to bring a Skype guest in. And if you were with us in pre-show, I was trying to use this to actually have VidBlaster at the 720 resolution and then stream 480. But when I added the extra effects modules in, it just wouldn't work. But I'm delighted that we're down to 50 to 60%. And I can't help but wonder what it would do with a hex core. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how that works. Let's see. I want to show you what the recorder looks like. And let me move some things out of the way because I've got a screen capture set up. I think if I've done it in the right place. Where did I put my screen capture? Yeah, there it is. This is the recorder module there. And let's move that monitor out of the way just a little bit and drop off the lower third. And if I right-click the module, I've got the ability to pause the recording, to stop the recording, and then to save the recording, none of which I'm going to do right now because this is all live. If I wasn't live with the recorder right now, that is, if the recorder was not actively recording, this audio device that is grayed out would be a selectable submenu over here to the right that would allow me to select the audio device. That should be pretty easy. And the same for the audio input. Now I think even though those sound alike, one of those is going to be your audio device in Windows, and the other will actually, right now there's only one selection on it called Master, but I suspect that there are going to be other abilities to have recordings of different, probably different bit rates or something like that. And that will be there. the display size allows you essentially to change the size of the recorder module. So if you want a recorder module that's small and out of the way, you can change it to any of these sizes. I'm not going to do that right now because this is a new version. I haven't tested that. The last thing I want to do is throw myself under the bus. The format, the format is where I can choose between a master and a DVD format. Both of them are MPEG-2, and if you go to the help session in VidBlaster and then go to the recorder section, you can read about the technical differences between the master and the DVD version. Frankly, folks, it was all Greek to me. Source allows, let's get that out of the way. We'll go back over here to source. Allows me to say what is the source of my audio, the source of my video, and then I can pick a camera, I can pick any module. And at this point I've got the program module that is selected, and you can actually see that here. Again, it's grayed out because it's not selectable, but let's see, can I get all those out of the way? There we go. And the program module right here is what's currently being recorded. A temporary folder, this is currently being saved to my 120 gig solid state drive. And if I, for some reason, didn't have room on that drive, I could select a temporary folder and have it stored on a different drive if I had a different drive available to me. And if I wanted to change it back later, I could then restore it to the default. I'm getting a note in the chat room from Martin K. Thank you, Martin, that says that the audio input is a selection for older operating systems like XP. So that's why it didn't make any sense to me. Thank you, Martin. Here, grayed out is something called video delay, and then in parentheses it says frames. And if we could see it, and boy, I wish we could see it, I wonder, can I add a second recorder here and maybe we can see all this stuff that can't be seen? Yeah, there we go. Okay. This is a second recorder module, and it's not doing anything. So audio device, you can see there's my Behringer mixer, my speaker, and my other Behringer. Audio input, master volume is the only selection here, and as Martin says, that's for older operating systems. Display size, format, source, here are the different sources. I can go to black, I've got my cameras, my effects, my overlays, my player, program, preview, still store, and I can go to white. All of that can be sources for the recorder. Temporary folder, and then we're now back to video delay, and I've got the ability, and we'll start right here in the middle. It's currently set for 0, and I can always go all the way down to 12 frames of delay, and this is actually going to be an audio delay. That is, I can delay the audio up to 12 frames to get myself in sync in the recording. I also can, and I don't know why I would need to, but if I needed to, I can actually delay the audio by a frame or 2 frames. I suspect somebody had a special need for that, so that's why that got put in there. So video delay allows you to sync audio and video if you're having problems with that in a recording. And I noticed that I'm about, today's stream is 3 frames off in the recording. Info allows us, let's see, what does it tell us right there? Module type is recorder, 864 by 480, 30 frames a second, CPU cores 8, and that's the report on that. And are there any other menus there? Yeah, and then we can remove module, and we'll do that because we don't need it anymore. And we're back to our original module. Let's see if the info has changed any. No, it says the same thing. Type recorder, 864 by 480, 30 frames a second, CPU cores is 8. Okay. So that is the recorder, kind of in a nutshell, and a hat tip, and thanks to Martin K. for keeping me on the straight and narrow there with some help on the audio input selection. In the pre-show time, I was trying to set up to do an overview or a demo of using VidBlaster with Skype. And I guess I should have spent a little bit more time preparing for that because I wasn't really able to get it finished and done to my satisfaction. But VidBlaster has the ability, and in fact, let me pull it right in here and show you how you would set it up. We'll kind of do a dry run there. VidBlaster has the ability to, let's take that lower third off. And we'll move that out of the way. Through the output module to send a video signal. I'm not quite sure how else to explain it. But to send video that would appear to be as from a camera. And it's called the VidBlaster VVD, VVD, Victor David, or virtual video device. And it is basically the way the module works is I can select what my source would be. In this case, I've selected the program screen. That is what I'm streaming. And let's just for fun, let's put in, scroll up here and we'll do the Effect 1 module. So we're going to take the Effect 1 module and whatever's in the Effect 1 module, and let me bring the Effect 1 module over here so you can see it. We'll send whatever's in the Effect 1 module, that's our source, to our destination, which is going to be the VidBlaster VVD. I could send it to my second display here on my system, but I'm currently using that to monitor the chat room and to have Windows Task Manager up and to have a temperature gauge so I can watch my CPU temps, which are in the 50s, which I think is great. But I'm going to do the VVD, and then I can turn it on, and when I turn it on, the video screen up here becomes populated with the video, and you can see it's the same video both places. And now this virtual video device, the VidBlaster VVD, is available to programs like Skype. And so Skype can use the VidBlaster VVD as a video source. Now, if we had Skype up here and running right now, and I'd do it, but I'm afraid of bouncing over my CPU right now. I just got this motherboard yesterday, just installed it this morning. I haven't had a chance to overclock it again. And so I want to wait until I've had a chance to sort of test it a little bit more before I really stress it like that. But what I would do is go into the options section, to go to the tools section in Skype and select options, and then go to the audio section and select the VidBlaster VVD as one of my cameras. And in Skype, it appears there on the little Skype window that I have selected, even though this is a widescreen source, it appears that Skype has just knocked it down to a 4:3. And so it gives the appearance that Skype would only be sending 4:3 video, when in actuality it does send 16:9. That is aspect ratio of 16 to 9 video. The highest resolution that I understand that Skype will do at this point, because all the good old XML hacks that were available are no longer usable. The highest resolution you can send is 640 by 360, which is standard definition at best. But if you've got a good camera, it looks pretty well. You know, the glass, the quality of the camera really does affect the video image. So you can be streaming high definition, but if you've got a low quality camera, it's not going to look very good. And you can stream standard definition with a high quality camera, and it will look even better. So the camera is very, very important too. So the video effect module allows Skype to pick up the video. Excuse me, the output module allows Skype to pick up the video through the VidBlaster VVD. Now, the VidBlaster VVD, I'm not an expert on it, but from what little I know, it can be shared with other devices. So another device can pick up the video. For example, Flash Media Live Encoder can also pick up the VidBlaster VVD. And there's some interesting issues that happen when that happens, and we're going to get to that in just a minute when I get to the troubleshooting part of this segment. But I've got a couple of questions here in the chat room, and let me see if we can address those because they have to do with the recorder module. So before we get too far, let's see, we're going to turn this guy off, and we'll move him out of the way, and we'll move the effect module out of the way, and now we're back looking at the recorder module, and it says the recorder module shows a time of 00. What's that? Shouldn't it show the recording time? Well, it sure should. I sure hope we're recording. Oh my, we'll see. And let's see, Martin K says, can you check the time counter on your recorder module? And yeah, it's a double triple zero. And let's see if there's any way to see anything about, you would think maybe info might give you the total duration of what you've recorded so far, but that does not appear to be the case. So if I can repeat this, then I think I found a bug. Wow, cool. You know what you get? You know what kind of prizes you get for finding a bug in VidBlaster? You don't get anything. Oh well. So that's the recorder module. Looks like we can document a bug there if somebody else is seeing the same. Somebody in the chat room says, I saw the same thing earlier this week, but not every time. All right. Well, that's cool. Maybe we ought to have a contest. And if you can find a bug in VidBlaster and post it in the bug report section, and it gets acknowledged as a bug, if you will give me the heads up that you're sending it as a bug report and let me know about it before you post it on the forum, I will send you a coupon good for $10 off a future purchase or upgrade of VidBlaster. So there you go. You get a goodie. You get a goodie by finding a problem. Kind of like an attaboy. So attaboy, way to go. Let's see. Here's another question in the chat room. It says, what do trial users do? Getting an error with the streamer module going to Ustream. Let's see, I read something on that. Yeah, that's JP. JP, it depends on what version of the trial edition you're using. Version 3.12, which is the latest beta, I think has a bug in it. It was posted on the forum yesterday that there was a problem in sending to Ustream or Bamboozer. I think somebody actually posted they were having problems sending it to Bamboozer. Apparently there was a handshake between VidBlaster and Flash Media Live Encoder that got dropped. Suddenly they weren't good friends anymore, and so there was a message, and that did not work. So we'll have to keep an eye on that bug, and so if you're using 3.12 and you bump into that, drop back to 3.11 because I know it was working okay there. So you shouldn't worry about that. And JP, I'm sorry to say that it looks like it's already been recorded as a bug, so we can't give you any kudos on that one. But keep looking. Bugs are fun to find. And that's the beauty of it, is that you make the software even better in the process. And it's great that it's a community effort to put things together and make them better. And that goes back to one of the things that I love about VidBlaster, is that there really is a lot of that users like you and me really do have a lot of input in what happens next. That's the beauty, I think, in the way VidBlaster is being developed, is that the developer, Mike Versteeg, is looking to the VidBlaster community for some guidance. What is it that you guys need? What is it that you want to do that you can't do? What is it that you're doing that you wish you could do more easily? What is it that you could do differently that would be a neat, cool feature? And that's where the instant replay came from. Somebody suggested that one several years ago, and that's continuing to be developed. I think it's in its third edition right now. Other features are getting better and better because of user input. And that's one of the things that I like about VidBlaster the most, is that you really can influence the shape of the software. And I'm happy to have a hand in that myself for what little I've been able to do. Let's move on to the troubleshooting portion of the show today. And let's see, do we dare? Do we dare? Yeah, we're gonna risk this. We're gonna try it. You know, if it bombs out, we'll just restart, and you guys hang around and we'll come back. How can I set this up? Let me take a second here and set this up. And what I want to do is set up, and we'll get our virtual video device fired up again. And I want to show you the, and actually this is what we were talking about just a second ago. The Skype window where you select VidBlaster. So we're going to pull up the Skype. This is the options menu, the options window in Skype, and you get it by going to Tools, and then it pops out this box. And we're going to go to the, here I am trying to do it on the screen. On the other screen, I need to do it on this screen. We're going to go to Video Settings, and we can see that it's already populated. VidBlaster VVD is our webcam. And you can see there I am in a 4:3 setting. And if we drop it down, we can see that the Logitech C920 is another choice, but it's not really a choice because it's already in use by VidBlaster, so we'll stay with the VidBlaster VVD. And webcam settings really doesn't allow you to do much except change the brightness and the contrast, because it's not really a camera that we're really working with. And then I can save this, and now, you know, I'm sending video from my PC in VidBlaster. And the cool thing about this is, since, let's see, let's do one thing here. We're going to change the way, let me show you what I'm changing here. I'm going to come back to this shot for just a second. This is the output module. It's set for Effect 1 as the source. And I'm going to change that to the program. So whatever is in program will be what will be displayed in the output module. So I'm going to go back to the Skype captures right there, and you'll see it immediately. It populated within itself. So let's go back to me just for grins, and I'm back there in the Skype window. Let's see. We'll select that. Oh, we can't do that, can we? Huh. Okay. Oh, well. So the way it was actually better. Interesting. So let's go back to Effect 1. Well, what I wanted to show, well, yeah, I guess I can't do it. I would have had to have recorded it and to have done it differently. But I can select, you know, just quick and dirty, I can select almost anything and make that part of the VidBlaster VVD. Here in the output module, I'm selecting the player. I can select you know, a still store and show that. I can select any one of the effects. I can select, you know, here's the raw camera feed from the Logitech C920, but it's through VidBlaster, which means that I can put, if I were showing the program window, where's program? Right there. It won't really work because it populates itself, but I can add the lower third to it, so that I'm streaming with a lower third in Skype, which I think is pretty cool. And this is helpful, I think useful. I use it on a Google Hangout when I want to have my own lower third. I can pop that down there when I want to appear to be somewhere else besides, you know, here in my, you know, between here in my studio in front of my green screen. I can drop in a backdrop, lay in a lower third, and so far as anybody that's watching, you know, I think it looks a lot more professional. When I do Skype conversations with potential clients and with existing clients, I like to look like this because I think it looks more professional, better than a cluttered bookshelf or just my green screen behind me. But one of the problems that was run into was to use the VidBlaster VVD. Excuse me, let me get out of Skype here. Was using the VidBlaster VVD as a source for Skype and also as a source for Flash Media Live Encoder. That is, if you were streaming through Flash Media Live Encoder, everybody was watching the Flash stream. That same VVD was being sent to Skype for the return video to a guest or somebody else that was rebroadcasting what you were doing. There was an issue in, you saw how Skype tried to make the VidBlaster VVD a 4.3, and it actually communicates somehow with the VVD so that in Flash Media Live Encoder, it'll actually take that 16.9 in Flash Media Live Encoder and it'll squish it so that now it's a 4.3 format. And instead of sending out 864 by 480 at 16.9, it's all squished up. And I think for those of you that watch this show regularly, and it only happens live, it's not on the recording, but for those of you that watch this show regularly live, about 6 or 8 weeks ago, maybe even longer by now, I was running into the same thing where all of a sudden, if I happen to move my mouse and activate the Flash Media Live Encoder window or the Skype window, the resolution, the aspect ratio would change on the live broadcast. And the way to get around that, and I had a call on this just yesterday from somebody who was just experiencing this for the first time and wanted to know, was this something new in one of the latest betas, or what was the story? And basically, it's just a sensitivity. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm not a tech guy. I mean, y'all know that by now. It's a sensitivity in the VVD that allows it to adapt to whatever's expected of it, I guess, by whatever program is active at that time. And the way to get around it is to use VidBlaster's second VVD. There are actually two VVDs, two virtual video device sources in VidBlaster. There's the one in the output module that we looked at a little while ago called VidBlaster VVD. And then there's one also in the streamer module. So in the streamer module, you can have a choice to send to virtual video device. What that looks like, and let's see if I can pull it up here and do a screen capture for you guys. Yeah, I might be able to make that work. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Have you ever said that? Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Let's see if this screen capture will work. I guess it would help if we got rid of that lower third. I was hoping to get my macros ready for today's show, but I wasn't able to. So if I can move this over a little bit more to the left, if at the very bottom of the screen you can see that the device, the video device, let's see, can I make this any smaller? Yeah, let's try that. There we go, that's better. This is Flash Media Live Encoder. On the video column right here in the device, it says VidBlaster. And I don't know that that'll drop down live. Yeah, it won't drop down while we're streaming. But there, for every camera source on my PC right in here, there will be a corresponding link to that camera source in this list. The last one on the list is this one called VidBlaster. There's also another one on this list called VidBlaster VVD. And you'll say, well, what does that mean? Why are there two of them? Well, because there are two virtual video devices available in VidBlaster. There's VidBlaster VVD from the output module, and then here in Flash Media Live Encoder, it's called VidBlaster, and that's the one from the streamer module. So currently I've got my streamer module set to output to VVD, and I'm using that one for Flash Media Live Encoder. And then I'll use the output from the output module. This is getting confusing. It's confusing me, and I know what I'm doing. I can use the output from the output module, the VVD, as my source in Skype, and then I don't have a conflict because each of the two auxiliary programs, Flash Media Live Encoder and Skype, each of those gets its very own virtual video device. For some reason, the old streamer VVD no longer shows up in Flash Media Live Encoder, in Skype as a video source. It just is not there. I think the same is true with Google Hangouts and Zoom and some of those other video softwares or services. And somehow the streamer VVD aged and just isn't compatible with that stuff anymore. Probably the same thing that happened with Wirecast when they were having problems. Skype changed something and suddenly the Wirecast virtual video device didn't work anymore. That's probably why the streamer virtual video device for VidBlaster doesn't work anymore. But it works great with Flash Media Live Encoder as a camera source there, and it doesn't have to be shared with anything else. So, and let's see, we're getting some notes in chat here. Somebody that have a lot more technical sense than me saying that it's a direct show filter versus a WDM driver issue, and that Skype no longer accepts a lot of direct show sources, and that would be the old VidBlaster VVD, the direct show source. Well, that's neat. I appreciate that. That's Joe DeMax. Joe, appreciate you staying up late past your bedtime and providing that information. And he also says that WDM drivers are kernel mode drivers. That's KERNEL, kernel mode drivers, so they should work anywhere. And that's great. So that's good information. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you bringing that to the table. Like having you in the chat room. So that's info on Skype, VidBlaster and Skype, VidBlaster and VVDs, VidBlaster and Flash Media Live Encoder. One of the things, we've got just a few minutes here in the show and we'll have to close out, but one of the things that I've suggested recently, haven't really put it in as an official feature request on the VidBlaster forum, but I'm trying to see if there's anybody else out there that's interested in it. And so if you are, get in there and chime in, because I've got it in one of the discussion sections of the forum right now. But I'd like to be able to take this feed right here and send it to, I use Dacast as my CDN, and so I'd like to send this feed, this program feed, to Dacast as kind of my main video. And I would use the streamer module and can do that straight to Dacast. But I'd like to also take a camera and send it out as a second option too. And so I could build on my website this shot, and then that second shot, which might be a shot from behind me looking down on my desktop so you can sort of see what I'm doing as I'm doing it, or a shot that's zoomed in on my mixer. So if we're doing something talking about mixers, we can do that. And I'm still trying to figure out how to get those to go all that way. And then I'd also like to be able to stream a composite of that to Ustream and to Bamboozer and have all that work simultaneously. So it's a pretty tall order, and it requires a lot of things. One of the things it requires right now is the ability, or that doesn't exist, is for the streamer to, well, maybe it's in this version. I haven't even looked. I don't think it is. For the streamer to have the selection of the the video source. Right now the streamer can, in fact just now in version 3.12, the streamer can select the source for the audio. But if it could select the source for the video, then you could take all sorts of things and send streams all different places of all different things happen simultaneously. And would really be cool in sports, because you could have the main shot going right here, and then maybe alongside you could have a little column over here, have a 4:3 main shot, and then a little column over here of your other 3 cameras that don't happen to be active right now. I mean, aren't selected right now. But this would be, a close-up of, if you're doing soccer, a close-up of the keeper, maybe a close-up of the person that's the forward up front that's got a ball, and then maybe a close-up of somebody that just sent a nice ball over the top to the forward. A suggestion in the chat room to say use a picture-in-picture effect, and that will work. That will work, but again, it uses the effects module and uses an awful lot of video. I mean, an awful lot of CPU users, and doesn't allow. My idea is that the end user can then select which one of the video feeds they want to watch. So, if I'm talking here, but you really want to see that screen capture that I was using a minute ago in order to see it, then all you have to do is click the screen capture, and that makes your full screen window that screen capture effect. So that basically you can what would be you can switch your own show, and you can see whatever you want to see. So we'll have to see if that comes to fruition, if it's possible. It may be a CPU killer. Don't know, but CPUs are getting more and more powerful, and so we just need to keep pushing the envelopes. And I think there's nothing like giving if you're a broadcaster now, there's nothing like giving your audience the ability to see your show or your broadcast the way they want to, and so. For example, if you're streaming a live concert and have 4 cameras set up and could have the ability to stream all 4 of those cameras separately, and then let the user choose which one they want to see. Anyway, I think that'd be pretty fun. Pretty fun. We've gone way over time. I appreciate all of you guys tuning in with us today, those of you that tuned in live. And those of you that tuned in on YouTube, we salute you. Thank you. All of our shows are available in our archives, which you can find on our website, which is thatvidblasterguide.com. You can also get more information about how to purchase VidBlaster or any of the services that we offer, including our custom PCs for VidBlaster, there at thatvidblasterguide.com. If you have a question, shoot it to me, Tom at thatvidblasterguide.com. There's kind of a theme going here. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Next week, I'm hoping that I will finally get my shipment of BNC to RCA adapters so that I can show you this cool new V-Prime 6-port standard definition capture card, which I think is going to be a great option for folks just getting into streaming that want to have the ability to use lots of cameras but don't have a big budget. So that's going to be a lot of fun too. So on behalf of all of us here at That VidBlaster Guy, that would be me, I want to thank you for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you again next week. And if I can help you in any way, just let me know. Take care.